Bill Carroll is in his 62 sports media, and working through the NFC North, we come to the enigma, wrapped inside the riddle, wrapped inside the cheesehead that is the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, the Packers have turned what should be and what has often been a high-functioning football team into a little bit of a soap opera. And that is likely to change, maybe, this year, but we'll talk more. So Brian Gutekunst is at once both reviled and loved by both the the fans, obviously, and I think even some of the organization. He's like the girl with the curl, right? Alternately brilliant and maybe not so. But let's just look at what the Packers offseason have wrought. The biggest thing, obviously, is Devontae Adams trade. The good news is that Devontae Adams is very, very happy and reunited with Derek Carr. They've been friends since, I believe, almost 18 and almost 19. And the Packers draft picks, pretty healthy looking haul, right? They have pick 22, which they got in that trade. They already had pick 28. They also picked up pick 53. They have pick 59, pick 92, pick 132. They have a compensatory pick 140. They have pick 171. They have pick 238 from the Bears by way of the Texans, pick 243, and a compensatory pick of 258. And we're going to walk through very quickly both their situations regarding cap itself. They have a fair amount of dead money, but it's tied up in a handful of players. The big one being Zadarius Smith, who comes in at over almost 11.5 million. Then Billy Turner checks in at 11.9, or actually almost 10. Then you've got Kevin King, Robert Tonyan, then to Showtime Sully, Shannon Sullivan, who I was a big fan of coming out, Devondre Campbell, who I think we may end up regretting letting him go, but we'll see. Then Jay Sternberger, an experiment that failed. And then the last two are Kamal Martin and Hope and Landon. So that's a total of $24 million. Wait for it. Total of $24 million, $624,934. That's not an ideal number. You'd rather that number be zero, but half that even would be more what you'd like. So they have $14 million and $51,675 in cap space to work with. Means that they probably will need to clear some more cap for it's said and done. And why you want a lot of draft picks? Because it gives you the chance to unload some higher priced veterans that you load up on draft picks. Right? Right. So, let's talk about it. So, most people assume that at least one, if not two, of those first three picks between 22 and 53 will be a receiver. I believe they will probably double up on receiver. They may not do it with their first round draft picks. I think they'll just go best player available. And there's a lot of good players. And they could use, despite the fact that it's a good football team, they could use a lot of different things. Hopefully they'll not draft another first round quarterback. Joking. But if a guy like Jermaine Johnson made it to them, I don't think he will. They'd be thrilled. I think Trevor Penning is somebody they would at least consider. I'm going to be surprised if one of those first, if not the first, maybe the second first rounders, Mafe or Trent McDuffie. Obviously, amongst receivers, guys like, I think Wilson's probably gone, but George Pickens could be in play. I think they would consider people like Sky Moore or Christian Watson. I think they would be very pleased and excited if they had a chance to pick up Drake London. In fact, I think they'd be very, very pleased and excited if they had a chance to pick up Drake London if he made it to them. I wouldn't rule out a linebacker like Devin Lloyd. I think that they will consider a guy like David Ojabo, even though he's essentially being redshirted for a season. But if Karlaftis makes it to him, I think that would be the pick. I wouldn't rule out them going after a player who would make it as much like Kevin Burks and Jameson Williams, which mentioned those guys. Everyone's talking about Trayvon Walker really super early in the draft, but suppose the NFL isn't as much into the hype surrounding him as sort of the media is. I could see him also ending up at pick 22 despite all of the hype. Jordan Davis. I don't think it's crazy he can make it to 22 or 28, but more likely 22. Bernard Raymond might be there at 28. If Zion Johnson is there at 28, or maybe even 22, I could see them going after him. going a little later, working your way down, at pick 28, like I said, they might even consider a guy James Petrie, who I think would give them something they really haven't had in terms of that overhang defender, slot defender, blitzer. He can play corner when needed, and almost play like a linebacker at times. Excuse me. Excuse me. At 53, I'd be shocked if they went after Trey McBride, or even, should he be gone already, did they consider another tight end? Sorry, I could see them doing that. Other players I could see at 53 include Arnold Udigiti. If they took maybe one wide receiver early and they're going to take another one at 53, John Mechie III is somebody who'd be in consideration. I could also see if Kyler Gordon's there at 53, that's a player they consider. Christian Harris, Nick Bonito, they're all players I think they would consider, as well as Drake Jackson, Daniel Falele perhaps, Logan Hall, and Myjai Sanders. And last but not least, Cameron Thomas. Now, moving to some of their later picks, I could see them looking to bolster certain positions. Obviously, we keep talking about wide receiver. Sammy Watkins, Juwan Winfrey, Rico Gafford, Chris Blair, Malik Taylor, Alan Lazard, Amari Rogers, and Randall Cobb. I can't see them going to war with them, for the whole season. So they're going to obviously get receiver. Bakhtiari is very good, but not getting any younger. I think they're going to add at some point to their tackle position. I mentioned, Mercedes Lewis. Tanyan is constantly injured, but talented. I don't think Josiah Guerrero is going to end up working out. They also have Tyler Davis, Dominique Gaffney, and like I said, Mercedes Lewis can't play forever. I think they're going to add to the tight end group at some point. Elton Jenkins is at right tackle, and I think they like him, but once again, I think they'll add at some point to the depth there. They have Royce Newman, and I think, he's solid, but he's not spectacular. I could see them adding, he and Runyon are holding down the guard position. They're going to add to the depth there, even if they don't try to push one of those guys. Josh Nyman and Hanson, Cole Van Lannon, and Michael Manette are part of the depth there. And like I said, some of those guys are gone due to cap number. They have a really good group of running backs. I don't know if they're going to draft a running back. They might bring an undrafted free agent. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Colin Hill, and Patrick Taylor are all really good. And obviously, they have a fascinating quarterback room, which we talked about before. On defense, they currently have Dean Laundrie, and they can use depth there. Kenny Clark and Terdell Staten, Jerron Reed, Jack Heflin. Also, they do run an odd front. Preston Smith is very, very good. Tippy Galia, Randy Ramsey, Ray Wilborn, Ty Summers, Chris Barnes, who I think they like but wouldn't mind upgrading. Obviously, we have Devontae Campbell, who cap casualty. Isaiah McDuffie, Deshaun Gary, who's emerging. Barwin, John Barwin. Darius Hamilton, once again, they're going to add to that depth. The secondary is an interesting one. Shamar Jean-Charles, I was a big fan of. Also Eric Stokes, Kevion Into, Adrian Amos, who is, I think, on the arrow's pointing the way up with him. He was good in Chicago. I think he has a chance to be even better going forward. Vernon Scott, also in his games. Darnell Savage, who's really, really good and young. And then Sean Davis. Rasul Douglas is a guy that they still would like to upgrade. And Keandre Thomas. Joe Alexander is an elite young corner. And, of course, Sean Nixon. So, they don't hate their defense, but I'm utterly convinced they're going to continue to add to it. And amongst the players that I could consider and think we'll see amongst the other offensive linemen and other defensive players later in the draft. But some of those later picks, names I could expect to hear, could include offensive lineman Jalen Deitch, corners like Martin Emerson. If they didn't go early at wide receiver, a guy like Wandale Robinson, Abraham Lucas could be a mid-round selection for them. Jamar Sawyer. I think both Romeo Doubs and Jalen Tolbert will be considered if they go maybe 1, D'Angelo Malone, if he's there, right, when they pick, say somewhere around pick number 92 or even 132, I think they'd be thrilled to get him. I think he fits what they do. He's a guy who I think would thrive as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Other players I think they might consider. Inside, a guy like Kadarian Mathis. Also, guys like Ron McKinley to add to that depth in the secondary, or Darian Kendrick, Alontae Taylor. Alontae Taylor actually be a really good fit for them. And then looking at a guy like Max Mitchell, maybe he goes for 492, but if he makes it 90, he'd be consideration. And then even Dylan Parham to make it there. And Jelani Woods at 53, once again, 492. I don't think he's there at 92, but more likely at 53 would be in play. Or even 59, right, 59. In fact, Woods, if they manage to get Woods at 59, that would be a great fit at the office. Moving on to picks 132 and 140, players that should be and could be in consideration for them could well include guys like, well, Tyndall's unlikely to make it, but guys like John Ridgeway, guys like Alec Lindstrom, Neil Farrell, Nicholas Peak-Frere, thinking about guys, outside in that 3-4 outside linebacker role. Dominic Robinson, Amari Barno, Luke Gutekunst makes it too, and Avina Easy is a guy that might consider as an offensive line. If they didn't go tight end early, Daniel Bellinger, if they got him there, it would be an absolute steal. Chris Paul, though he might be going to that point. Braxton Jones, if they got Braxton Jones at this point in the draft, that'd be fantastic as a developmental tackle. And then if they can go tight end early, once again, if we're looking at the mid-rounds, guys like Jake Ferguson, offensive guard like Marquise Haynes from Oklahoma. If they looked at safety, guys like Brian Cook from Cincinnati would be in play. And then moving on to their next pick. I think once you move on into like picks 171 on down, I'll just roll through just a handful of names that in those last few rounds I think will end up being really great value. Joshua Williams, Fayetteville State. If Jesse Luketa is there, another outside linebacker, edge player. Eric Johnson, interior defensive lineman, Missouri State. If they went with Nick Cross, if the Cross make it to them at safety, that'd be great. If they wanted to go one wide receiver early and one later, Tyrese Fryfogle from Indiana, somebody to be consideration. Another offensive lineman they may want to consider. Well, actually, you know what? Before I get to that, I know I mention him every video. I'm going to mention this one too. If they wanted to strengthen their secondary group, if they got to Damari Mathis, and he's still there for them here, that's another run to the podium guy. If they wanted to go one wide receiver, first round and one in the fourth, a guy like Isaiah Weston should also be in consideration. Ed Ingram, should he make it to this point, though he probably won't. Cordell Volson, also probably gone, but if he makes it there, you have to get in. Going back to secondary, Deller and Turner Yell, maybe the all-name team should be in consideration. Cade Mays amongst offensive linemen. Yusef Corker is another really good safety I think they might want to consider at this point. The guard, Tyrese Robinson. Defensive tackle, Matt Hingedson. Actually, I don't know. For them, he might not be a tackle because of the front they run. Cornerback, Montrezl Brown is somebody being consideration. Zion McCollum, who could either safety or corner should be making there. That'd be a great pickup for them. And then I'll throw out maybe two more names. Andrew Stoiber at guard. Also, Owen Carney, defensive end in college, could probably play as a stand-up linebacker for them outside. Chigoziem and Okonkwo, if they wanted to go with sort of a move tight end late. And then I'll throw out maybe two more guys. Jeffez Ezer, terrific little slot receiver from San Diego State, former HBCU kid that I first began really liking. If they want to go center, got like Doug Kramer to play center or guard. And then I'll give you one last name. If they want to go safety late, Marquise Bell, if he's there for them, that's a guy you have to snap up in my opinion. So this is an important draft. Everybody's draft is an important draft. But this is a team that is reaching the end of one talent cycle and is sort of emerging into a new talent cycle. It's very important that they restock, and they're going to have to be very careful about how they manage their cap because of a lot of money tied up in one Aaron Charles Rodgers. Vikings are next.